Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and patch day has arrived. It kind of just snuck up on us a little bit there, didn't it? But without any further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into patch 2.2 because it is a long patch. So I'm not gonna do too much in the way of preamble. We're literally just gonna skip all the intro stuff and we're just gonna hop right into it. So in update 2.2, we got our third Regiment of Renown pack, and I'm so happy it's the monster pack. I have been really excited for the monster pack. This is easily my most desired one. You know, the first one was elite infantry, the second one was elite cavalry, and now we finally have the elite monsters, and I am so excited to dive into these nerds. So without further ado, let's see what we've got for Regiments of Renown 3. So first is the Green Guardian, not to be confused with the Green Knight, who is a terracotta sentinel. Centuries of silent sentry duty at the edge of the Warpstone Desert has been broken by a stunning display of choreographed violence. Foes stand little chance against the enchanted behemoth towering above them. Nice. So he's got all the Warpstone goodness glowing inside of him. I'm guessing making him even more magically powerful. So he has redirecting aura. Enemies who are within range will have their projectiles redirected back at themselves. Oh my god, that's terrifying. And then he also has increased missile resistance for anyone not within that aura. My lord, I wonder how big that aura is. I'll have to hop into game on stream here a little bit later today, but that could be if that is like a 30-meter aura even, that can be very strong. Obviously, the bigger it is, the more powerful it gets, but being able to redirect missile attacks is very powerful on a big monster, because you know the vast majority of units in the game don't have crazy long range shooting, and a lot of the units that do have longer range shooting tend not to be more designed against kind of those high health targets, and he's got missile resistance on top of it. So I mean, this is a guy who's really like, yeah, you're gonna have to use magic or melee to take me down. I really like that. That's a very cool ability. Monsters that are more resistant to range is always good. Then we have Khorne's Bloody Fist. So we have a Bloodthirster Regiment of Renown. Even by Bloodthirster standards, the Bloody Fist stands apart. With each savage yet precise blow, it grows stronger, while its enemies are pounded into a gory blot on the landscape. And he has a unique ability called Gore Shell. He gains damage resistance when near large enemy targets. Very cool. Wow, that actually is going to have a massive amount of utility. So he basically just gets a flat ward save whenever he gets into a fight with cavalry, monsters infantry. I mean, there's a significant amount of large entities in the game. I don't think there's really any army that shows up with just pure infantry. Dwarfs, I guess, but even dwarfs will sometimes have, you know, like gyrocopters or a Thorgrim or a dwarf lord or a rune lord on an anvil of doom, and like those things are large. But that's incredibly good. I'm curious exactly what the percentage is, but I think that's gonna be a very popular character, because like Bloodthirsters are super great for hunting down other large targets and tearing them up. So the fact that he just gets a really nice defensive buff when he's fighting them, perfect, awesome. The Frozen Heart of Winter, an elemental bear of Kislev. More than a mere bear, this elemental creature has all the pride and rage of its beleaguered motherland distilled into its colossal icy form. And he has the Heart of Winter spell as a bound spell. Ooh, that's really cool. So the Heart of Winter is the really powerful Lore of Ice spell. That is their max level spell that like transforms over time. So if you could get him, I'm curious how often he'll be able to do it. Like, I would think because that's such a powerful spell, he could only do it once per game, but maybe he'll be able to do it multiple times. Regardless, that is a very powerful spell if you can get him into a big brawl. You know, if you can get him fighting like a lot of cavalry or a lot of infantry, you know, any of those things, that spell is going to be absolutely devastating around him. Uncle Furuncle, a great unclean one. Those who've heard of Uncle for Uncle know to steer well clear of his gaseous girth, lest a torrent of putrid filth descend upon them from gods know where. Okay, so his ability is Defiling Deluge, an active ability where Uncle for Uncle heals himself while damaging enemies around him. That is really solid. So he's able, so you run him into a fight, and he has an AoE damage. I'm guessing it's a bombardment ability. But so I'm guessing he bombards people around him, and then he also heals while doing that. And instead of having Miasma of Pestilence, he has a Spirit Leech spell. Ooh, that's really nice for his bound spells. That's really good. So that means he'll have Spirit Leech and oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called. The flamethrower spell. I say flamethrower because in tabletop we would have referred to it as a flame template spell. I can't remember what it's called all of a sudden, but that's really good. That's super solid. Also, those red welts are very unsettling, like those open sores. Ugh. The Snowhorn of Morn, a Stonehorn ROR who's made out of ice. Oh, that looks so badass. That is a beautiful design. Used to living in the subpolar temperatures of the Granite Tooth Graveyard, this characteristically vicious Stonehorn knows how to use the icy cold to its best advantage, bringing far more heft to the fight. So it has Glacial Defense, an active ability that gives him increased armor and missile resistance. However, he has slower speed. So if he's getting focused out by shooting, you can choose to make him slower, but he's going to be significantly more resistant. And also, I imagine once you get him to combat, you just turn that on and leave it on. Oh, and he has Frostbite. Cool. Frostbite is never bad. It's always a good passive to have. I'm curious. Glacial Defense almost kind of reads like a stance as opposed to a typical ability because it comes with a debuff, being that you get more tanky, but you're slower. So I'm very curious if that's going to be like you activate it and it lasts for a certain amount of time and then it goes on cooldown, or if it's going to be a stance kind of like with Festus or whatever, where you turn it off and on, depending on what you're doing, with like a cooldown between when you can turn it off and on. Next is the Marquis of Masochism, who simply says, I have such sights to show you. Didn't this just get a new movie, Hellraiser? I think it like is about to, or just released a new film. Anyway, he has the Feasting on Fear passive. He regenerates health based on the number of enemies who have their morale break around him. That's fantastic. Being able to get healing on a large single entity is never bad. Well, healing on anything is never bad. But a healing on a giant, terrifying demon is super duper great. That is fantastic, giving people a Keeper of Secrets that can, heal himself and keep himself in the game longer. And then instead of the Lore of Slaanesh spells, he has the Lore of Shadow spells. So he has Enfeebling Foe. Oh, wait, no. He has one of each. So he has Enfeebling Foe from the Lore of Shadows. And then he has Phantasmagoria. Ooh, so Phantasmagoria is a big leadership bomb. So it drastically reduces your leadership. As a bound spell, that is incredible. I think that's actually going to be very, very strong, especially because it can allow him to get off like a big terror bomb. And then he can heal based on all those units that are broken around him when he uses Phantasmagoria. Meanwhile, Enfeebling Foe is really, really good when you're dueling against a powerful opponent. I want to say, I can't remember. Yeah, Enfeebling Foe is the minus melee attack, minus melee defense spell. So that's going to be fantastic. Whether he's dueling another powerful entity and you're really wanting him to chew them up and spit them out, or if it's like a fairly elite unit of infantry or something and you just want to like reduce their combat capability so he isn't taking nearly as much damage for a hot minute. Looks great. Then last, but certainly not least, we have the Golden Griffin of Theurgy, a Lord of Change. The most powerful of the Changers chosen confuses and beguiles before swooping in to give his enemies a bloody, merciless mauling. So he has increased armor due to having Glittering Robe permanently active on him. That's super badass. So he's like the ultimate metal Tzeentch demon. Look at his design too. His design is beautiful. Like all the designs I think look very, very good. But I think for me, the Stonehorn and the Lord of Change are absolutely gorgeous. He's got all like the gold tinge and like the really shiny metallic robes. Looks fantastic. And then instead of Tzeentch spells, he has metal spells. So he has Searing Doom and Gehenna's Golden Hounds for his bound spells instead of blue and pink fire. Awesome. New in-game crisis, the Vermintide. Skaven undercities are erupting. Burrow deep beneath the surface, the Skaven are expanding their underground empire to the farthest corners of the old world. With warp bombs ready to turn your settlements to ash, plus hordes of vermin spewing out of the dirt in the name of the Underfather, willing factions must race to wipe the major Skaven factions off the map, put a stop to the Vermintide. But tread carefully, for every Skaven clan that's yet to be slain makes the erupting undercities even deadlier. Awesome! That's so okay. So it's not just like the other end games we've gotten so far, which although fun are pretty one note. You know, it's basically just those factions become very aggressive and spawn a shitload of armies. But other than that, they don't really, you know, they don't have any other unique bonuses or effects going for them. Sounds like the Skaven are going to be going super crazy on undercities and trying to build warp bombs. I would actually love for them to reveal that if for Vermintide, the Skaven, like the second they get a undercity available, they just instantly start building a warp bomb. Like they don't even care. So you constantly have to be on the lookout for discovering undercities. This is going to be a very interesting end campaign. I think a lot of people are going to be very excited for this. I cannot wait to do a Lizardmen campaign with Vermintide turned on. Stability and performance. Cool. They fixed some crash stuff. That's always good. Gameplay. We're just going to very briefly look over these. Let's see. How they play events have been rewritten. Cool. Removed a number of starting wars between factions. Mostly for AI. Cool. Reinforcement locations have been updated in various settlements. Cool. Effects that increase healing caps are no longer 100 times stronger than intended. Well, that's good. Man, no wonder Festus was easy to play. Settlement and deployed towers have their damage reduced to be consistent with earlier game towers. I think that's fair. When colonizing ruins, you now take a temporary vigor penalty instead of a massive manpower loss. I think that makes way more sense. I think that is so much better than the old system. Because it always kind of felt weird that it was like, ah, yes, my soldiers are now going to become citizens here. Instead of just, oh, no, my soldiers are going to be used to build everything up. And then once people move in, then we leave. You know, the next turn. So I think this makes way more sense and will also make it much harder to take advantage of a group that has just colonized the settlement. Like, I don't know how many times I've exploited the AI either intentionally or not, because the AI takes a settlement that was a ruin and then I attack them while they're at reduced manpower and kill them. But there's also been many times where I've taken over a ruin and it's very frustrating when I get attacked because there was an AI outside of my line of sight who comes sweeping in from the fog of war and attacks me when I'm at like a third my manpower. So I think this is a really, really good decision. And also this makes it much more fair for, like, depending on how your army is built, because I know there were times where I would colonize the settlement and I would want to have a lot of single entities like characters or monsters, because there would be no penalty for them when colonizing ruins, whereas all of my regular units would be, you know, would lose a lot of percentage of their models. So now this system penalizes everyone, but it's not as drastic of a penalty. I will say that I'm curious how bad the penalty is going to be. I assume it's either going to make you very tired or exhausted. I think it should be more penalizing than if you're caught in march stance, but we'll have to see. Fix some redundant quest items. Fixed an issue where the Sword of Cain was not transferring properly. Oh, that's good. Fixed an issue where vassalized factions would lose objective completion upon reloading save files. That's no fun. Fix some auto-resolve problems. Removed cap for income provided by tribute from vassals. Whoo, that's lovely. That's super nice. That's gonna be great for a lot of factions, but most notably the Warriors of Chaos and Nakai. That's great. In-game ultimate victory objectives now support vassalizing factions as an alternate option to confederating or destroying them. Great. That's really good for those same groups. In-game scenarios now trigger the research of all technologies for those factions automatically. Oh, oh my. Okay. All right, that's gonna be a little scary. The free upkeep effect on in-game scenario armies is now visible to the player. Cool. Mounted Marauder variants will no longer fire autonomously in melee, though it is still possible to manually order the unit to fire. And we are investigating other cases of units that gain large. Okay, so they're trying to fix units that are overperforming because they're managing to shoot even though they're engaged in melee. Allied recruitment will now provide access to all units offered by the requisite DLC if owned. Oh, great, awesome. So we actually talked about this on a stream I was doing maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'm really glad that they have patched that particular issue. Added and increased trade-focused benefits to the ports of Marienburg, Lothern, Aragorn, and Bordello. Cool. Campaign reductions to the Winds of Magic cost should now properly affect overcast spells. All right. Dragon Fang mounts are now proper. Oh, what? Are now properly available to the intended Warhammer 3 factions. I'm guessing that just means the unique building? I don't know what it means by Dragon Fang mounts. I assume that just means the unique port. Or wait, is it the port? I think it's the port. That gives you like a bunch of money. So that's good. We fixed some units being able to capture points that we're not supposed to. Cool. Blood pack incidents. Let's see. The blood packs now only last. Okay, they only last 5 turns now instead of like 20. And they go off, let's see, they're more regularly spaced out. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of the blood pack incidents, like once the blood pack was implemented, they're just kind of like permanently on, or at least it felt like. So I'm glad to see they're becoming more rare. Let's see, fixed an exploit where characters were duplicating. Okay, cool. Every allied outpost in a Tomb King or Beastman settlement will now grant +1 unit capacity for all of that faction's units. Hey, that's awesome. Okay, so they have fixed the Tomb King Beastmen problem, which was that if you decided to ally up with the Tomb King or Beastmen, Tomb Kings or Beastmen, it would you just couldn't get their units other than I think like their most basic bitch stuff for the Tomb Kings. I don't think you could get anything for the Beastmen originally. So that's a really good fix. So now you want to be friends with more of them so you can have more of their units, if that's something you're really interested in. But +1 of everything, I think that's great. You know, you're not going to have obviously as many as you might want of like the low tier units, but you can get, you know, a Cygor, a Gorgon, a Jabberslife, or from the Tomb Kings, you know, any of the Sphinxes and stuff like that. Added tooltips for some of the monster or creatures. Cool. Abilities. In Update 2.0, we buffed a lot of units across the undead, but when combined with the percentage-based healing from Total War Warhammer 3, this broke the shit out of them. Yes, it did. I'm really glad that they're turning their attention to that now. Crumbling has been increased in how much damage it does now, so all undead now take 14 to 28 damage per tick instead of 10 to 21. That's a pretty significant increase. So that's about 50% more damage minimum, so that's good. I am curious if that's going to be enough. But we'll see. Channeling and Winds of Magic replenishment. I'm so happy for this fix. This is one of the biggest things I was bitching about when Immortal Empires first arrived for the content creators to play with. Is I was like, okay, I like the new magic system, but there's a lot of races that like I just have to try and stay in magic significant territories, because if I can't get somewhere where there's magic, there's literally nothing I can do about it. I'm just not gonna have magic, and I hated that. So I'm really glad that they are fixing this. Beastmen, it gets spicy after hours. This faction now benefits from greatly increased Winds of Magic replenishment during full moon events. So you get 50% magic power reserve increase during the full moon, 100% during the lunar eclipse, and 150% during the solar eclipse. Fan-fucking-tastic. That's great. And also, any opportunity we get to help the Beastmen revolve more around more Slib events, I am all in for. Come on, give us Moonclaw one day. Anyway, in addition, Beastmen now gain a guaranteed +10 Winds of Magic per turn in raiding stance. Awesome, great. Greenskins. Excuse me. Based on their faction-wide WA level, gain -3 to 3 to 6 to 9 Winds of Magic per turn for all forces. That's fantastic and also very thematic for Greenskins. Traditionally, the way Greenskins work is that the more amped up they are and the more WA energy there is in the air, the more magic they have to work with and the more powerful a lot of their magic gets. So that's really, really fitting. I love that. That's great. Lizardmen, like the rest of the Lizardmen race, Nakai can now channel. Awesome. Norsca, they gain 10 winds of magic per turn in raiding stance. Very cool. Please the gods by causing desolation and ruin. I like it. And Devotion to the Eagle now grants winds of magic power capacity. Ooh, that's going to make the Eagle a lot more tempting. Vampire Coast, the flagship expansion stance, which is only available on the ocean, now offers the following winds of magic options. It gives you plus 20 winds of magic per turn to the army in the stance, and plus 10 winds of magic per turn to all forces within the sphere of influence. That is so badass. I love that. That's super cool. So that means there's going to be like the Vampire Coast can affect the strength of the winds of magic upon the ocean just by being there, which is perfect because magic is drawn to other sources of magic, especially dark magic. Dark magic is almost like it's not a perfect description, but it's kind of like a miniature black hole in that it draws other magic to it. Dark magic is heavy and it draws all those other sources in to create more dark magic. So when there's lots of undead, the undead tend to be in magically heavily saturated areas just by being there because their presence tends to draw in more magic, which is awesome. Cool. Wood Elves. All Wood Elf major settlement buildings now grant 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 power depending on its level per turn to local armies. That is super awesome. It makes perfect sense because they literally have the magical forest terrain type. So at level 1, they give you 3 winds of magic all the way up to tier 5, giving you 15 winds of magic. And if you choose to do the abduct captives post-battle option, you get an additional plus 5 winds of magic reserve. I assume this only lasts for a turn, but that is super badass. I actually really like that. The idea of having post-battle options that give you, or just having more effects in the game that give you temporary boosts to your reserve pool cap, I think that's a really clever idea to add a lot of really cool things in for various factions. All right, Beastmen. In this update, we're raising the multiplayer cost of all Chaos spawn units to all races. Yep, that makes sense. They have been overperforming big time. In the Beastmen's case, they have notably lowered damage than the other variants, so we're compensating for that. Across the board, Giants have not been popular in any race or game mode despite the addition of missile resistance. We are again giving them another buff. We're going to increase their armor and weapon strength to make them one of the hardest hitting units in the game. Makes sense. They should be. They may be a slow, huge target, so we believe this should bring them into the meta without making them too oppressive. We will see. And then Minotaurs are another unit that have been performing quite poorly, especially when Chaos Spawn occupy too similar of a design space. For right now, we're going to give them more hit points, allowing them more time to benefit from blood greed. Paired with reductions to their costs, we hope this will make them better. All right, general updates. Beastmen no longer unlock Dark Elf ports when erecting a hearthstone. Okay, yeah, I see why that makes sense. Beastmen also no longer use their basic port in special port locations. Okay, cool. Tarex the Brass Bull now gains +1 momentum from the first battle he fights every turn. Cool, just to give him extra. His momentum no longer decays if he concludes a rampage. It only decays when Tarex fights another battle. Interesting. All right. Momentum gained at the start of a new rampage is increased from 1 to 3. All right, so just sounds like across the board, he's essentially just getting more momentum. And his momentum is a little more stabilized, which I think is going to be better for him just for how much bigger the world is. In campaign, the Eye of the Gods event, this should be in the Warriors of Chaos section, not this section. But in any event, no longer targets an army that does not belong to the player's faction. That is hilarious, but also good to know. Could you imagine? Oh my god, that would suck. I've never had that bug. Like, you work your ass off to get an Eye of the Gods roll, and you're like, finally, I could get this cool buff for my army, and you grab it, and the game's like, all right, here you go, Boris Todbringer, and you're over there just being Festus like, what? Nurgle, why? Why would you betray me? The Oak of Ages settlements will now correctly provide a unique Hearthstone building chain when occupied. Great. I'm really excited to hear that. I do hope we get, granted, we haven't seen it in this patch, but that's probably something I need to make a fuss about, is I would really like for the next big patch to be the one that maybe finally gives us a bunch of new landmark buildings. Like, we need a big landmark patch. Because I don't think they've given us any new unique Hearthstones in Warhammer 3. Because I actually went hunting. Like I took Nangao, I took I took Nangao, I took the Celestial City, and I took whatever the hell is the big city over by our boy Zhao Ming, and there was nothing. There was nothing in the Ogre Kingdoms. There was nothing in the Darklands. There was nothing in Kislev. So hopefully they will add in a whole bunch, because there should be way more. Battles. They have fixed some bugs with the Fall of Man. Cool. Units. All right, let's see what we're looking at from a multiplayer perspective here. Let's see. Chaos Spawn for Beastmen now deal additional damage, but they do cost more in multiplayer, so they're more in line with other Beastmen or other Chaos Spawn. And like Beastmen Chaos Spawn are not bad because they do have poison attacks, so they're better than like just the most basic bitch Chaos Spawn. So you know that's good. Just give them a little more damage though. Probably try and make them more in line, because like the Nurgle ones I think also have poison attacks, but then they also have some additional stuff. The Giants. So the Giant is less expensive now. He's only 1,400 gold. He got 20 more armor. Okay, that's actually pretty significant additional amount of armor. And then he's dealing also pretty hefty bit more damage. I'm really curious to see how this is going to pan out. Giants, it's going to be really interesting to see. Like, I feel like Giants are going to be very, very difficult to make good. But I also feel like Giants are kind of one of those things that you have to be really careful with, because I do think there is a magic point where they could become like way too good. But I think that's going to have more to do with like their cost more than anything else. All Minotaurs are getting about 500 extra health, and they're also getting a bit cheaper. Oh, nice. They're standardizing their costs. So all Minotaurs now cost a flat 1,200 gold. And they all have almost 9k health. That's pretty good. I don't know if that's going to be enough to really make them stand out. I think that's going to help a lot, but I am not like a master of multiplayer analysis. That's more like Turin or one of those guys' jobs, so we'll have to see. Crowfather for Malagoran campaign. The Crowfather ability now gives missile resistance to his army instead of missile damage. That is great. That is a much better choice. Yes, thank you. That is so much better. Missile damage buff, it's like, oh great, this buffs 2 units in my entire roster, as opposed to missile resistance, which is everything in my roster. So yeah, that's good. Technology are now called challenges. Great. Bretonnia in 2.0. Oh good, they finally fixed the stupid Bretonnian cavalry speed. One of the a complaint that I've definitely have is that Bretonnian cavalry are supposed to be on the faster side of things, and right now they were on the slower side of things because a bunch of different factions got speed boosts to their horses or horses, and Bretonnia just got left out for some reason. So now they've caught up, which is great. Okay, so they fixed a bunch of different bug issues. They've you can get the brothel building again. Good. We all need brothels in life. Morgiana's mirror has a bug fix. They fixed some issue. Okay, cool. They update some character abilities for quest battles. Very nice. They fixed the Sword of Leoness quest battle, so it's now finishable, which is super good. Units. All right, so let's see. All barded war horses are now 78 speed instead of 75, and Sulawan, which is Rapunzel's little more buffed steed, is 75 speed instead of 70. And Grail Guardians also went from 70 to 75, being the more heavily armored version. That looks really good. It's it's a slight buff, but hopefully it kind of puts them more where they should be compared to everyone else. The Green Knight, the Dolores Blade now lasts longer and no longer buffs melee based damage, which makes sense because being an ethereal unit, he does not do melee based damage. He does pure armor piercing. Demons of Chaos. Demons. You always break my heart. General updates. The Demon Prince can now use their basic port and special port locations. Okay, cool. Oh, cool. This was a really big thing that I was actually gearing up to request. Because I'm planning on making a video about Daniel to try and improve Daniel. And one of the things I was really going to hammer on was that when he takes settlements, the only thing he gets is glory. That means once you've maxed out your glory, you get absolutely nothing for the rest of the campaign. And it was like, oh, this is really rough. Because it really doesn't take that long in Immortal Empires to fill up your glory meters. So I'm really, really glad they fixed this. Who's calling me? Sorry about that. Anyway, so now in addition to giving you glory, if you do choose Khorne, your army gets unit experience. If you choose Nurgle, you get replenishment. If you choose Slaanesh, you gain additional favor, and if you choose Tzeentch, you gain Winds of Magic. I don't know if that's going to be flat Winds of Magic or if that's like increasing your like gain or whatever. I'm assuming it's just a flat rate, but we'll have to see. Chaos Furies for the Demons of Chaos have been made cheaper, the basic ones, and then the Freakish Mutations now properly applies its effects to the Chaos War Shrine unit, which is a skill I think Big Daniel has. You're getting better. You're getting better. Dark Elves. The Dark Elf slave system felt still too passive, so we've made things a bit more dynamic by removing the slave cap on minor settlements. Players can now utilize the global effects at the cost of their public order to focus on capacity, or instead have a settlement utilize around 100 slaves to keep their infrastructure bonuses active. Other settlements, in the meantime, can keep their capacity lower and just use slaves when maximum capacity is reached. Once you get a chance to play with it, let us know what you think, whether the system is now too punishing or if it's still too passive. Okay, it sounds like I'm gonna have to play a Dark Elf campaign because I understand what they're saying, but I feel like I need to see it. All right, so anyway, let's see what we're dealing with here. Slaves. Starting number of slaves is now only 100. The slave right cost is now 800 gold instead of 400 gold. The diktat costs for the open market costs you 600 slaves instead of 400, and everything else is 400 instead of 200. Oh, no. It's 400 to 600 if you have an open market, 200 to 400 everywhere else. And then the diktat cooldown for open market is now 0 turns. Wait, so you can just spam the shit out of it? What? Several adjustments have been made to the slave drain in relation to public order. If public order is insecure, wavering, or weak, the slave drain from buildings now increases to 10%, 25%, 100%. Wow. Okay, so the more public order problems you have, you will be losing slaves really fast. Slave capacity brackets have also been adjusted as follows. From tier 1, you have up to 800. From tier 2, it's up to 2,000. Tier 3 is up to 5, tier 4 it's up to 10, and tier 5 it's up to 100. Holy shit. Okay. So tier 5 is where it's at. Construction costs. So construction costs, I assume we're talking about, I can't tell if this is by using slaves. I'm assuming that was what it, oh yeah. I'm pretty sure there is one. So now instead of construction costs being those percentages, it's now significantly higher. Holy shit. 2, 5, 10, 25% at max level. Construction time reduction it's now per turn instead of percentage. So it's like the Lizardmen system. That's really good and significantly better. Man, -4 turns off buildings. That's incredible. Public order now seems to have significantly more penalties. So I'm assuming what this is saying is that these are like the tiers of slave brackets, and the more slaves you have, the higher up you go on these brackets. That seems to be what I'm getting from this. So the more slaves you have, and the more bonuses you get, but your public order obviously starts to go down. Commandments. Let's see. The growth commandment now gives 50 growth instead of 25, and you get now 20% additional slave income instead of 10%. Awesome. Cool. Sacrifices for Cain's slaves now cost 50 instead of 30. The slave cost of diktats goes down by 10% if you have the roads building, which is actually probably going to be kind of useful. Building slave drain is now only active if you have above 100 total slaves. If you have the industry train up, it drains twice as many slaves as it used to. Meanwhile, the Black Ark's slave building now generates slaves per turn, which is really good, and also is much more rewarding for having like a shitload of Black Arks than just having them. Farms provide half their growth based on slave availability. However, they also give you a small bonus to your capacity depending on the farm's level. And they also add additional income based on, or to your slave income. Wow. Okay. So, oh man, there's a lot going on here. Minor settlements no longer have slave capacity. Ports only have slave drain above 100. And wow, ports have less at level 1, but they really start draining at level 3. Let's see. Public order is based very heavily on slave availability. The slave building now adds penalties to public order, but also has less capacity. So the slave building is less of a critical building and also comes with some debuffs. Let's see. They fixed the Ricard's thing. They fix some bugs here. The Dark Elf long victory reward now grants 15% additional income from slaves. Hell yeah, that is so good. Okay, so just more. I like that it looks like they're maybe starting to look into giving unique buffs depending on the race. Unique victory rewards, I think, for races that would really benefit from that is really kick-ass. Let's see. Oh, they fixed Malice's right to get heroes. That's really good. All right, fix some problems with these. Morathi no longer can be corrupted by Slaanesh. That's probably for the best. Let's see. Morathi has had a lot of stuff fixed, so she no longer spreads chaos corruption, but instead spreads Slaanesh corruption. Dwarfs! The starting severity of some grudges has been reduced. That makes sense. Fixed an issue with the grudge severity was increasing far more than intended. Moved Belegar's Vanguard deployment from his Lord effects to his faction effect? Holy shit, Belegar. That's really strong. Okay, so Belegar has Vanguard deployment in underway battles faction wide. That is so much stronger. Damn. Dwarves no longer declare war on other AI dwarves during Grudge Too Far in-game. Fix an issue where Gotrek could not equip dwarf runes. Oh, that's cool. So Gotrek can have runes now. I like that. They fixed Thorgrim's starting hero, as well as Cazador's. That's another video I need to put out, is characters that need unique starting heroes to represent characters from their storylines. Because I think they fixed a bunch in here, but there's quite a few they need to add. Let's see. Added an army-wide 20% missile block chance to Belegar's Lord trait. Damn! Alright, Belegar. Woo! He is looking pretty good all of a sudden. Fix some problems with the Forge. Grand Cathay. Fix some unintended cases where yin and yang buildings could be converted. Both Miao Ying and Zhao Ming no longer have access to all their spells and abilities, which was not intended. So now they only have access to spells and abilities that have to do with their dragon stuff when they're in dragon form. The Caravan Encounter gift from End will only offer units if you have enough space for units. And the Wrath of Cathay Compass ability now actually does attrition damage, which it was not in Immortal Empires, which is something I definitely noticed. Greenskins, Giants are stronger. Let's see. When an AI Greenskins faction WA completes, the event message will now show the faction in question. Oh, cool. Pig Barter now is appropriately a major settlement. Good. The Bloodford armor is achievable by the AI. Neat. Short victory for Grimgore. The description is now more accurate. They've added the Tower of Torment and the Challenge Stone to his victory region objectives, and he only requires 5 conditions instead of 6. Neat. From the Punch, they fixed some of bugs around his ingredients. Very, very good. Make sure that he causes terror properly if you defeat him. Nice. Let's see. Fix Scarsnake's ability for heroes. Skarsnik's Greenskin recruitment building chain now starts at level 2 in his campaign, so I think level 1. That's awesome. Fixed Wurzag being able to recruit the Idol of Gork at rank 2 rather than rank 30. It was funny though. We already talked about giants. Goblin Wolf Chariots now have less projectiles, but the Tiefroppers now actually have Strider as opposed to a attribute that wasn't working. Neat. High Elves, although they're doing okay in campaign and multiplayer, they're getting crapped on a lot, so we have decided to buff them across the board by making a lot of things cheaper. Also, Martial Mastery has been applied to Swordmasters of Hoeth and Loremasters. Great, that's awesome. I think that's appropriate. Fix some text bugs, Legendary Lord quest items that grant unique ancillaries now do so. Fixed an issue where the Cult of Pleasure was not getting the correct elven building. Okay, that is definitely a Dark Elf note in the wrong section, but that's okay. The High Elf Noble now does influence over time. All right, Elithanar. Elithanar now receives a free Shadow Mage at the start of a campaign. Hey, that's pretty kick-ass. Oh, start position changes. Oh, they're here. Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yes, that's awesome. That is so awesome. So he's no longer in Karankar. He is now in the Monolith. Thank you, CA. Thank you very much. I deeply appreciate that. Thank you. Altharion the Grim. His long-term goal is no longer like the other High Elves. Instead, it's more focused around Grom the Paunch and then dealing with Greenskin and Skaven. Neat. So he actually is up to unique stuff. His second starting army has been buffed because it now has an Archmage with a unique trait instead of regular Lord. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what the trait is. Unit capacity for Mistwalker units has been added to the Tor Yivris main building, and you can no longer build the Mistwalker building in this settlement. That makes sense. It's Tor Yivris, you know, the Mistwalker should like be built in. His Mistwalker dilemma will no longer trigger for legendary lords that you confederated. Okay, cool, makes sense. Emmeric's victory objectives have been tweaked for his position. It's no longer about going back to Ulthuan. It's now instead about encountering all the dragons and destroying all the nearby baddies. Fixed an issue where his dragon counter markers were not producing generic dragons once you've exhausted the named dragons, and his dragon counter camera no longer mess you up. Teclis' start position, has been changed, having emerged from the jungles and reclaimed the Fortress of Dawn for the High Elves. That's a good change. That's a very good change. I wonder where Kairos went then. I guess we'll find out. His victory objectives have seen minor tweaks to better suit his new starting position. He's now focused on gaining control of majority of the elven colonies rather than taking control of Ulthuan. Hey, that's great. Okay, so the High Elves are sounding much better. Fix some issues with Talisman of Hoeth battle. Correct deployment positions for the Lamaro quest battle. Fix some issues with Shakalot. Updated. Okay. And then, oh, wow. Look at all these cost reductions. Archers 25 cheaper, Archers light armor 50 cheaper, Illumined Reavers 100 cheaper, 100 cheaper for Everqueen, Court Guard, Heralds of the Wind 150 off on the Keepers of the Flame. Lothern Seaguard are 50 cheaper with Shields 50 cheaper, Phoenix Guard 100 cheaper, Shadow Walkers 100 cheaper. Swordmasters of Hoeth are 50 more expensive, but they got Martial Mastery, and Swordmasters were already actually pretty good from what I've heard. Talons of Tor Kaleda. I don't know where I got that second L from. 125 cheaper. Fireboard of 50 cheaper. The Gray 100. White Lions 100, or Pure Main Company 100 cheaper. Signs of Mathland are 50 cheaper, and Storm Riders are 50 cheaper. That's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, it's just the High Elves have not been able to field enough troops. Like, that's really kind of been the big issue. It wasn't that their troops necessarily wouldn't perform. It's just that there weren't enough of them. So, because they were too expensive. So hopefully this will help. High Elf influence rates have been rebalanced to make them stronger. Great. And reducing a few outliers. Okay. Fix the Lithanar's Lord trait, not reducing upkeep. Good. They have restored missing units to the tech tree from the Warden and the Paunch. Good. Change the mission requirements for Teclis' Scroll of Hoeth to focus on defeating Tzeentch armies instead of Dark Elves. Cool. Khorne. Khorne performs very, very well in campaign. However, multiplayer, he is struggling, and a lot of his units are not that great. The Spawn were underperforming, Minotaurs were underperforming, and the Chaos Shrine were underperforming. Okay. Oh, also, all Chaos War Shrines in multiplayer have a cap of 1. All right, I think that's pretty reasonable. Because, like, yeah, we want it to be a support unit as opposed to a core piece. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it should be a support unit, and I think a few of them were a little too effective. The Gore Beast of Chariot now uses correct icon. Blood Host no longer count towards supply lines. Good. The Boon of Chaos for the Skull Crusher leader now properly applies to all Skull Crushers. Good, good, good. Scarbrand's short victory. Oh, Scarbrand's short victory in Immortal Empires no longer gives Winds of Magic. Instead gives you the Chainsword? Look, that's super cool. That's super, I like that. Daddy likes. All right. Bloodthirster's cheaper, a lot of units cheaper. Chaos Shrine has a cap of 1. Or I'm not going to worry too much about the cost, but like a lot of units getting cheaper. Minotaurs getting more health. Spawn now have 10 more armor, okay, but they are a little more expensive, so hopefully that puts them in line with the other Chaos Spawn more reliably. Wow, Soul Grinder is significantly cheaper. Skull Crushers are cheaper, okay. Demon Prince is cheaper. Nice, 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 nice. All right, abilities. The Chaos Shrine of Khorne now has a wow, instead of a max of 5% for all damage types, it's now a 15% bonus. Ooh, that's oh my, that's a little bit more damage there. That's a little bit more damage. Damn, all right. Mantle of Immolation on the Blood Crushers now gives weakness against fire instead of reducing fire resistance. Thank God. That makes way more sense. Khorne factions can no longer get the Chromic Tome ancillary. Okay, that's gotcha. Kislev. For Katarin's starting enemy, she no longer has to fight mammoths on turn 1. They're instead Marauder Hunters. Okay, that's probably good. Sleds and Little Grom have been added to the Erengrad Frostholm unique building. Awesome, awesome. That makes Erengrad actually have some units that it can give you. The cost of the unique port of Erengrad is down from 2,000 for every tier to 5. Oh yeah, that is so much more reasonable. Good lord, it was 2,000 additional gold per level to build that thing. Fuck that. That is way more reasonable. Then fix some other issues. Katarin starts with ice sculpting already unlocked. Oh, nice. So she can start ice court training immediately. Kislev technologies that require ownership of settlements are now for allies or vassals as opposed to just you owning it. Thank you. That is so much better. That is so much better. I always hated that it was I do not like when objectives are like, you have to take this yourself. Like, fuck everybody else. You can't have friends. You have to take it. It's like, that's no fun. Like, come on, let me have friends. Frostfang is better. Okay. Lizardmen are doing great. But some notes. The alignment of monuments commandment was providing global construction time reduction. Whoops. Good thing they fixed that. Nakai is no longer Nakai now fits on the character details panel. Fixed an issue where quotals were not recruitable. Oh my. Tic-tac-toe. Tic-tac-toe now gets a bonus skink chief with a unique trait. Oh, I'll have to check out what that is. Krokar's long objective victories are no longer about Lustria and instead are destroying the forces of destruction and chaos nearby him and making sure the jungles are safe. That's great. It makes way more sense. His short victory conditions have been better tweaked to suit his starting position. Good, good, good. Fix an issue when raising or sacking a Skaven settlement that would not count towards Gorok's Mace of Ulamak quest. Okay, that should probably not be under Krokar, but Gorok doesn't have a section, so I guess whatever. I'm glad they fixed Gorok's Mace. Nakai. Nakai's long victory objectives now focus mainly on dealing with the Servants of Darkness in the east, with the exception being Clan Pestilence and Lustria. Awesome. That's really cool. If Clan Pestilence is still alive once Nakai reaches his short-term victory, he'll receive a dilemma allowing him to spawn a wandering army to aid the lizards in Lustria. Oh, that's so cool. I really, really like that. I still want I still really want Nakai to get the elector count mechanic from the Empire where you get dilemmas about like a lizardman or like an important place on the geomantic web under attack, and if you like accept it, it'll teleport Nakai's army to that place, and then you get to fight, and then you get teleported back to where you were. I think that would be like a super fitting and badass mechanic for him. But this is a really good first step. This is a super badass first step. Added the Old One's favor value to his Temple of the Old Ones panel. Okay. Remove the duplicated experience effect on his Sentinel Hall. All right. They also need to fix another issue with Nakai where he has too many buildings on his horde. Like all the hordes in Nakai's faction, when they're fully built, you literally get every building. But Nakai has like one too many buildings, I think, or something like that. And it feels like there's probably something redundant they could like use or whatever. Oxiodal, his visions of the Old Ones will no longer spawn an extremely strong enemy in the early game. Okay, they're probably saying that they're not going to spawn like the 20 stack of greater demons and soul grinders on like turn 1, which could, or like turn 3 or whatever, which could happen. You know, it was beatable, but it was brutal. So I think it's good that they're like, you know, we'll let you get a little settled, then we'll start spawning those in. Fix Oxiodal's teleportation cooldown. He can only teleport once per turn. That's a good fix. Oxiodal's campaign was like stupidly easy because you could teleport an unlimited number of times. His long-term victory is no longer about Lustria. Instead, you must complete 25 medium to hard visions of the Old Ones. Okay, cool. His short victory is, instead of completing 25, you have to complete 6. All right. Wow, his short victory is going to be like hilariously fast. 6 seems a little low. You figure it'd be like 10, but whatever. Deliverance of Itza now has cooldowns. All right. Norsca. This time around, Norsca received some minor changes. Ice Wolves are going to be buffed so that they're more on par with Fleshhounds. That's good. Also, Norsca and Chaos Trolls are being made better. Just give me immune to psych trolls. CA, come on. Trolls are supposed to be immune to psychology. Let's go. Get it done. Get it done. No more terror bombing trolls. They're supposed to be too stupid to get terrified. Anyway. General updates. No units require secondary buildings to be recruited. Awesome. Chariot units are now in the Smith chain. Cool. Recruitment costs for Smith chain now has recruit cost reduction, local recruitment capacity increase, and global recruitment capacity increase have been adjusted. Nice. The offering chain effects have been adjusted, so now they give you plus ranks, plus unit experience gain, and plus casualty replenishment. All right. And the Norscan income change. Infrastructure buildings now give half as much income. Settlements now give half as much income, and ports are the same. Okay, so they're nerfing their money a bit. Let's see. People are enjoying Norsca. There's been a lot of comments that their campaign is too easy. We want to retain their naval focuses, so we've made their land-based economy a bit lower. Okay, cool. This should make you more incentivized to raise settlements instead of occupying them for money. All right. Fix some monster hunt positions. Skeggies settlements in southern Nagaron are no longer Skeggies and now belong to the Dark Elves. That makes sense. Units. Some cost reductions. The Norscan Giant got the giant fixes. Norscan Ice Wolves are now 30 melee attack, 32 base damage, 16 AP damage, and only 600 gold. Okay. Norscan Ice Trolls have 5 more leadership, and Norscan Trolls have 5 more leadership. All right. Throg's King of Trolls skill now applies all of its intended effects. Nurgle. Let's see. Nurgle. The Chaos Shrines are going to be more expensive, and we're going to try and buff Elite Monsters and Chaos Knights to make them more takeable. Let's see. General updates. Pestilence effects that are designed to increase enemy siege attrition no longer decrease it. Oh, man, that sucks. You're like, yes, I will cause a disease to make the enemies in this fort die off faster, and instead you're making them like tankier. Brutal. Thunderguff got buffed. Cultist of Nurgle on War Shrine is now 200 more expensive. Demon Prince is cheaper. Chaos Knights are about 100 cheaper. You can only have 1 War Shrine now. Great Unclean One is 200 cheaper. Soul Grinder is 150 cheaper. A Soul Grinder was already pretty good, but we'll have to see. And then Spawn is more expensive. The Children of Nurgle passive is no longer utilized in the game. Ogre Kingdoms. Update 2.0. We went a little too far. So we are increasing their multiplayer goodies. I also want them to increase some other things, but I guess I'll take it one at a time. Having found the open air and sea breeze of Myrmidons a little too overwhelming, Scrag the Slaughterer starting position is being updated to the more familiar and cramped tunnels of Karak Angashar. Okay, that's fair. So he starts on that little bonus settlement on the south side of the Middle Mountains. Or no, the Black Mountains. So that's good. So he's right there by like Karakirn. So the border princes are no longer the ogre kingdoms. The border princes are free. And that's I actually like that because it means he actually starts a little closer to Gristle Valley. So that's good. It's good. Let's see. The attacking AI is now going to be better about knocking down walls. Giants are better, and all monstrous infantry units and for ogres now have higher capture weight. And then the Sky Titan Plateau tech now gives you +1 camp for every level 5 camp. Oh, you have infinite camps. That's a good change. That's a very good change for ogres. I still need them to do some animation passes and also make Greasus, or I need them to do some animation passes to like clean them up and make them a bit better at like attacking and combat and all that stuff on Greasus. I also think Greasus needs to have significantly more health, and Greasus also needs to be made significantly larger. Like Greasus Goldtooth's model needs to be the biggest ogre. Like if I take him and just like stand him up, he should be the largest ogre by like a notable amount and should be like a big fat boy. And right now he's not that big. So we got to get that fixed. Skaven. Let's see. We made Doom Wheels heavier. Cool. Warlock engineers experience a 10-turn cooldown when establishing undercities. Good. We fixed some missing settlement icons for resource and strategic locations in Crookback Mountain. All right. AI construction for buildings is now better, so the Skaven are going to stop spamming Skaven slaves. Good. Plague priests from pestilent schemes for not spreading plagues. Okay, glad they fixed that. Queek Head Taker. Clan Moors are known for most unskaven-like loyalty, so we're representing this by giving Queek access to cheaper, more frequent uses of Miner's Below, as well as cheaper Clan Rats and Storm Vermin. Interesting. So these are now the faction effects for Queek. -2 loyalty for Greyseers. Queek no longer steals XP from other lords. That's good. I always thought that was kind of weird for Queek, because like Queek's thing isn't really like stealing glory from other characters per se. Like, you know, he wasn't against like murdering other characters if he thought they were a challenge to him, but it wasn't like he wasn't really in the whole thing of like stealing credit from other characters, which a lot of Skaven do, but that's not really Queek's thing as much. Food cost for Miner's Below has now been reduced by 33%. Unique. Oh man, that's gonna make a Queek a bitch to fight. Players can get 5 additional uses of Miner's Below with Queek. Fuck that. Jesus, that's strong. Clan Rats and Storm Vermin have 25% reduced upkeep. Very cool. We've also tweaked Carrick 8 Peaks for Queek. Oh. Queek Lord of Faction changes. So he no longer gets the upkeep reduction for Clan Rats and Storm Vermin. Okay. Whoa! -20 leadership for enemy lords and heroes in the same region as Queek? Holy shit! That is crazy strong. My God. All right. That's a huge debuff on leadership. Weapon strength and melee attack buffs for fighting dwarves and greenskins are map wide. Oh, okay. Instead of just Queek himself. And the melee attack buff when fighting dwarves and greenskins, instead of +10 melee attack, it's now +10%. Okay, that's good. Because like it's still gonna be pretty good on Queek. But like a flat +10 would have been fucking insane on his entire army. Carrick 8 Peaks. Controlling Carrick 8 Peaks now grants, as Queek, grants Frenzy for all Clan Rats and Storm Vermin. All right. Damn. Whew. Clan Moore is looking pretty hot. Okay. All right. Tzeentch Craven. Wow, that actually makes Carrick 8 Peaks like valuable to Queek, because the old system was super stupid. It was like you get +1 public order or something. Let's see. Tzeentch. Tzeentch original bonuses for breaking treaties wasn't really worth it. Instead, we've now just given him bonus for declaring war in general. So this will reward you for just attacking people at proper times, to set up schemes, to represent your renowned wealth. Your units that survive longer are going to get better weapons and armor. Oh, cool. Tzeentch's own army will get devastating flanker. Holy shit. Betrayal bonus has now been reworked. Tzeentch's faction gains the following bonuses to all armies for 3 turns whenever he declares a new war. Plus 25% ambush success chance, plus 50% enemy reinforcement time, Vanguard deployment for all units, and +1 use for minutes below. That's really cool. I really like that. So like it really encourages you to try and set up like surrounding or like figuring out where all your opponent's best armies are, and then declare war and really go ham on him in that 3-turn time limit. So like you really want to blitzkrieg the shit out of your opponent. Other faction effects include you no longer get +3 recruit rank for Storm Vermin. Instead, you get +1 armor and +1 base damage attack per unit experience rank for Clan Rats and Storm Vermin. I'm assuming that's percent on the base weapon, and then just +1 armor. Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like +9 armor and then +9% base damage on all Clan Rats and Storm Vermin when they're max rank. That's not bad. And then devastating flanker on all Skaven units for Tzeentch's army. That is very, very, very fucking strong. That is so much more thematic than Vanguard deployment as well. Devastating flanker on Tzeentch is perfect. Let's see. Campaign. The Flesh Laboratory is now fixed, but you need to start a new campaign in order to do that. Warlock Engineer's model is no longer offset. That's good. Skaven Settlements, their wall towers have been fixed. Doom Wheel has way more mass, and Crutch Traventail no longer has the Buy Our Blood passive. Okay. Slaanesh! Slaanesh has been dominating the shit out of multiplayer. We're trying to debuff the shit out of that, or we're trying to fix that. The Chaos Shrine is the main problem. Another big problem is Hellstriders, so we're going to try and fix that. Hell Scourges also are not super well liked, so we're going to try and make them a bit better. Slaanesh Disciple armies no longer count towards supply lines. Good. Nakari can now choose to destroy or subjugate targets in order to achieve his short victory objectives. Also great. Chaos Knights are cheaper. The Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh on War Shrine is 200 more expensive. Hail Scourges. Their base damage has been reduced by 12, but their armor piercing damage went up by 10. Chaos Warriors are also cheaper in multiplayer and campaign. War Shrines are capped at 1. Chosen of Slaanesh have lost a lot of base damage with Hell Scourges, but gain 13 AP. Are also notably cheaper in campaign and multiplayer. The Cultists of Slaanesh is way more expensive on a War Shrine. The Demon Prince is cheaper. Marauders of Slaanesh with Hail Scourges deal significantly less base damage, but have a good bit more armor piercing, and they're cheaper and everything. Keeper of Secrets is cheaper. Mirror Guard is more expensive. Hellstriders are more expensive. I kind of was expecting them to be a lot. Well, I guess 50 is a good bit more expensive, considering I've easily seen people running 4 to 6 of them, or like 4 or 5 of them in multiplayer. Hellstriders with Hail Scourges are now the same cost. Soul Grinders are cheaper and have better stats. Spawn are more expensive. Disciple armies that are summoned via your Unholy Manifestation will scale in size based on the local Slaanesh corruption. Oh, okay, interesting. The max damage of the Chaos Shrine of Slaanesh has been significantly reduced from 16 to 32 to 12 to 24. All right, that's a pretty notable reduction on the max damage. The Empire. Let's see. Padding has been added between Empire tech groups so they appear nicer. Empire factions can no longer bypass cooldown on Confederation. Electrocount tweaks. You can now invite the Electrocounts to join your wars. Oh, that's really awesome. I think that's actually super good, because if you can get them to hate the same person you hate, that helps a lot with like diplomacy stuff. Greatly reduce the reinforcement delay and remove the cost for moving the reinforcement point in Electrocount reinforcement battles. Okay, that's great. So that's for the ones where you get like summoned in to help. Extra cavalry units have been added to reinforcement battles to help with larger maps. Cool. Previously, you receive an Imperial Authority penalty if the capital is razed, but not if occupied. This produced strange outcomes. For instance, it was fine if Festus occupied Hochland, but not if you razed it. Now it will apply if any non-Empire faction controls the capital. But since Sylvania is occupied on turn 1, we've increased your buffer from 1 to 2. Okay, makes sense. Fixed an inconsistency with electric counts. Yep. Region tagging. Electric counts now use the region tagging system present in the Champions of Chaos. So players can now gift a broader set of regions to the relevant elector counts, including ones not owned by them at the start of the campaign, though they might have claim to them. Oh, that's a really good change. That's a very good change. Authority is now gained by returning an elector's capital rather than reviving them from death. This removes strange situations where it was better to allow elector count to die out rather than save them. Okay, I like that a lot. I think that's very good. However, you need to start a new campaign to implement these changes. All right. Fix an issue with Karl Franz. Karl Franz now gets a guaranteed wizard of a random type on his second turn. Oh, that's cool. Added a missing garrison chain to Altdorf. Castle Reich now unlocks at tier 3 instead of tier 4. Or I think it was tier 4. Marcus Wolfhart's long objective victory now focuses on Lustria, not the Empire. Armies spawned from the hostility mechanic now only spawn from certain specified areas. If Wolfhart or an ally occupies these areas, the armies will no longer spawn. Okay, so you can cut them off. That's really cool. The Altdorf Conclave of Wizards is now a tier 3 building to match the generic train. It also grants +1 additional capacity of wizards. The player-controlled empire can do full diplomacy with Marienburg, including diplomatic confederation. That's interesting. So we treat Marienburg like a non-empire faction now. Interesting. Confederating Empire minors through Empire politics now properly obeys the 5-turn cooldown on Confederation. Volkmar has increased baseline aversion with all the undead. Prestige gained from battles is now available on post screen. They fixed some issues with the Amber Bow quest battle. Toddbringer now does his campaign skills better when controlled by the AI. The Emperor has now had a touch up. Okay, so his faction effects now gains +25% additional prestige from all battles. Very cool. The best of the Empire skill that used to grant just +5 leadership is now +20% experience gain for his army. Woo, that's really nice. His Lord effects have also been buffed. He now gives Guardian to all Reichsguard and Greatswords in his army. Very badass. He no longer gains leadership, but instead adds a +10 charge bonus to units in his army. And he can replenish in neutral territory. I really like that. Oh, Golmaraz got buffed. Yo! Golmaraz now grants sundering attacks and +75 flat AP. Woo! Wow. All right. That's good. That's what it should be doing. It's fucking Golmaraz. That's awesome. That is so much stronger. Also grants a flat 15% bonus weapon strength against the forces of chaos. Very cool. Tomb Kings remove vampiric corruption from their protection train. Nice. Fix some overlay issues, fix some discrepancies. There are some slight tweaks to Khalid's short-term victory to make them more vampire-centric. Very nice. Cetra now will receive a Tomb Prince with a unique trait. I really hope that is not meant to be his herald. I really hope that's not supposed to be his herald. Because I would rather them just not put him in the game than put him in as like a generic character with a unique trait. He deserves better than that. The Tomb Kings can now increase hero capacity repeatedly via the Mortuary Cult. Awesome. So you can have unlimited hero capacity as long as you're willing to pay for it. Subtitles, display speed has been fixing some other stuff. Fix some icons. Tzeentch! Oh, yeah, I want to see what they did with Kairos. We're pretty happy with Tzeentch overall and made some minor tweaks, yada yada. All right. Fix some bug issues. The Librarian Corruption Chains income percent is now Winds of Magic dependent. Cool. Kairos' start position has been changed. With his mysterious goals in the Fortress of Dawn now complete, Kairos has retreated to the Fate Weaver's crevasse just across the ocean. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Yay. So the Southern Chaos Waste has a chaos character in it. Hooray. And Oxiodal is no longer just like alone on a continent. So now it's Kairos versus Oxiodal, and he's in Fate Weaver's crevasse, which is perfect. Like, it's literally named after him. That's awesome. I'm really, really happy with these start position changes. Knights are cheaper. You only get 1 War Shrine now. Demon Prince is whoa, Demon Prince is a shitload cheaper. Look at that. 450 reduced cost. Damn. Doom Knights are cheaper. Lord of Change is 200 cheaper. Marauder Horsemen are more expensive. That's good. I've seen those spam to hell and back. Soul Grinder has way more ammunition. Severed Claw has a lot more health. Weird Spawn are notably more expensive. Wow, 1,300 gold. They are the most expensive spawn by far. The Sword of Change ability on Sorcerer Lord of Tzeentch now has a initial cooldown of 60 seconds instead of 0. You can no longer use it immediately. It only recharges when Winds of Magic is 15 or higher. It takes 5 seconds to wind up instead of being an instant cast, and it costs more money. Okay, that item got slapped. Giver of Arcane Glory now goes up to 20% spell mastery and has an infinite range instead of 35 meters. That's good. I don't know if that's going to make it worth taking, but that is a significantly better bonus. That actually makes it a much better mount for the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Tzeentch. Vampire Coast. They fix some issues with bugs, fix some defeat panel issues, fix some sound issues. All right, cool. Vampire Counts. Fix an issue where Chillgeists were not healing. Okay, that's good. Removed unnecessary penalties from his Kimmler's AI. Oh, the Balefire aura from the corpse card now works. Awesome. Updated Hard Collision and the Blood Drinker quest for Vlad. Cool. Banshees. Being an ethereal unit, they updated her with other ethereal units, so she no longer does base damage, just pure AP. Manfred von Karstein's Lord effect, granting him 15 additional Winds of Magic Reserve, will now no longer revert on save files. Cool. CA, I still need Banshees to have a Scream attack, guys. Like, the Terrorgeist has an active Scream ability. The Banshee should have an active Scream ability. Get it in the game. You can do it. We believe in you. Warriors of Chaos. Warriors of Chaos are performing very, very well. Most notably in multiplayer. However, we do think this is mostly due to the Mono Gods being a little OP. Undivided Chaos War Shrine was not very as good, so we buffed it a bit, and Aspiring Champions are also getting buffed. Okay. Arcane Wisdom now gives Warp Flame to Tzeentch attacks. Cool. You can now subjugate or destroy targets for your victory conditions. Cool. Okay, fix a lot of issues. Festus, Azazel, Valkia, and Village can now upgrade Demon Infantry to their Exalted variants. All right, that's fair. All right, that's fair. So now they can get Exalted Demons just like Be'lakor can. Okay. All right. Sorcerer Lord's Cape no longer has a mind of its own after he dies. Warriors of Chaos no longer have a bug, which was giving them way more loot than they were supposed to have. Sigvald's Buildings Commandments now do Slaanesh Corruption instead of Undivided. Valkia's Bloodletting at max level allows casualty replenishment in foreign territory. That is much good. That's very good. That's super good. Valkia's Soul Gain from post-battle is now increased as it's supposed to be. Fix the number of rifts that could be opened by Be'lakor that were appearing in impassable terrain. Okay. His Festus's battle behavior by the AI makes him more likely to fight melee. Adding missing UI for his stuff for the AI. Aspiring Champions now have 2,000 more health. Giants are better. Knights are cheaper. Spawner more expensive. Trolls have more leadership. Chaos War Shrine is reduced to 1. Prince Sigvald is now 150 more expensive. That makes sense. Demon Prince is now 400 cheaper. Swords of Chaos are 300 cheaper. Let's see. With the inclusion of Be'lakor and the Warriors of Chaos, we noted the cost of his abilities has not been set properly. Also, his Shadow Shroud's duration is significantly longer than it should be. Okay, cool. Giver of Glory now can give up to 20% physical resistance instead of just 20 or 10. Shadow Shroud costs more in multiplayer and now only lasts 20 seconds instead of half of a fucking minute. Lord of Torment now costs twice as much gold in multiplayer. Fixed an issue with the Undivided Demon Prince. Sigvald, the innate trait now grants the Fascination Army ability to Sigvald's army. Eagle Maniacal now grants Narcissism, and Born to Serve now grants Sweet Sorrow. Oh, that's super badass. Okay, so if you're playing with Sigvald, as long as he is your faction leader, when you take those skills or traits, you now get so he starts with the Slaanesh army ability, and he unlocks the other two through his army abilities. That's really, really cool. So that allows Sigvald to actually play like a full Slaanesh army. Favorite Son now buffs all Slaanesh marked units, and so does Mark 5 Slaanesh. Very cool. Sigvald now has access to the Vicious Lash tech. Cool. The Scarlet armor now requires significantly less kills in order to properly activate. Wood Elves. Wood Elf units that were not properly showing up in allied recruitment have appeared. Good. Added missing garrison buildings. Good. Adding a starting development / kindred point for Orion and Durthu. All right, nice. Faction and Lord Effect updates. All right, we're continuing to improve on characters. Dev notes: as the face of the more hostile side of the Wood Elves, we've tweaked Orion so that he focuses more on campaign mobility and aggression. Orion is now rewarded for fighting multiple factions at once and gains improved tools to allow him to zip around the map. We've also tweaked a Wild Hunt to make it's shorter, but it's more reliable. All right. Faction effects. Whoa, wow. Okay, they changed a lot. You gain 50% additional movement in World Root stance. Okay, minus 8% upkeep for every war you're in. Damn, for Orion's army. Wow, so they're not kidding. You really want to be in a lot of wars. Minus 4% upkeep for all your other. Oh wow, so everybody gets reduced upkeep for Orion. Okay. Duration. So Wild Hunts now only last for 5 turns instead of 10, but they're every 10. They have a 10 turn cooldown instead of a 20 turn cooldown. You start with it active on turn 1. Orion gets 50% battle movement speed when it's active, so he can keep up with the Wild Riders. Holy shit! That's really cool. I have mixed feelings about that. I feel like I really like that Orion has the ability to be as fast as his Wild Riders, but I feel like that should just be a base thing for him, not something that is campaign exclusive and he's only able to get it during the Wild Hunt. I don't know though. Like maybe in multiplayer he would be way too strong if he was as fast as the Wild Riders, but I do really like that he has the. I wonder if that means they altered his animations, because we've had conversations. I've had conversations with devs in the past, like way back, about Orion and him needing to be way faster, and always being told that it was a limitation on his design, and that like if he were to move that fast, like his model in game was not designed for that, so it would look really weird. So I'm wondering if that means they fixed it, or if they were just blowing smoke up my butt and it was never an animation limitation. It was instead just they just like didn't want to do it. I'm curious, but I will have to go in game and see what it looks like. All characters gain 25% additional movement range after raising a settlement during the Wild Hunt, and there's no cooldown on Deep Root's teleportation during the Wild Hunt. Whoa, okay. Holy mother of mobile. All right. Lord effects. The weapon strength and charge bonus buffs now apply to all cavalry units for Orion instead of just Wild Riders and Stag Knights. Very nice. He no longer gets 5% faction-wide missile damage. All right. Never-ending hunt skill now gains an additional 25% movement after raising a settlement for Orion. Very nice. Wild Rider recruitment is now only 1 turn for all Wood Elf factions. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. Oh, Drycha. Interesting. Man, I really hope they fixed her bug thing. I'll have to go in and take a look at it. Drycha heavily focused on the spirit tree side of things. Oh no, this is about Durthu. Okay, this is about Durthu. So with Drycha being focused on tree spirits, Durthu kind of didn't really have a point. Originally, Durthu served as the alliance between the Wood Elves and Forest Spirits. As such, we're going to focus on that. His ancient treemen now provide map-wide missile damage buffs when they cast, and both Spellsingers and Ancient Treemen will become more powerful when working together. On top of that, his treemen can tear down walls. This theme of synergy extends to Durthu's personal army, with his treemen and treekin now providing potent aura, so we want you to mix them with elf units. Oh, that's really cool. We also felt that Drycha's combination of much stronger treemen and much earlier access to them was a bit too powerful, giving her a major spike at level 3. As such, we split the difference between the two tree spirit characters. Both Drycha and Durthu now get access to treemen at tier 4 rather than tier 5 or tier 3. Alright, I think that's a reasonable fix. Changes made to faction effects for Durthu. He now gives Wall Breaker for all treemen and ancient treemen. Badass. He now gives Mastery of the Elemental Winds for all treemen and embedded spell singers. Ooh, that's really cool. So their magic gets more powerful. Wrath of the Wood is a passive ability for all ancient treemen that increases missile damage when they cast. Very nice. You no longer get buffs for forest battles or branch rates. All right. Let's see. Action effects for they removed the old kind of boring ones. Oh, nice. You get Resplendence of Luminescence on all treekin and Annoyance of Netlings on all treemen. Very cool. That's super cool. Durthu now starts with a spell singer instead of a branch wraith. All right, makes sense with the new buffs. Durthu now has access to Drycha's alternate version of the Forest Spirit chain, so it goes 1, 2, 4 instead of 1, 2, 3, or in Durthu's old case 1, 3, 5. Level 3 of their chain now requires a tier 4 settlement. Nice. Wood Elves no longer declare war on other AI Wood Elves during the Wild Hunt. Fix the Spirits of the Elder dilemma, which offered to confederate the Wood Elf, the Spirits of Shanlin. Okay. They fixed an issue where you could not teleport into or out of the haunted forest or jungles of Xi'an. Cool. Major settlements controlled by the Wood Elves now have walls and defensive battles. Hawk Riders have, Vanguard deployment. Very nice. And they only take 1 turn to recruit. Very cool. Very cool. The Wood Elf Talon of Kurnos innate trait no longer will appear on Spellsingers and Spellweavers, since it just didn't really make sense on them. And the Sisters of Twilight now gain a unique trait when they complete the quest battle for the dragon. Nice. Drycha had a bug fix. Oh god, this is so long. Update 2.2. Character experience. So victory type is no longer used as part of the experience calculation. So experience will be granted based on a combination of the army enemy's value and the proportion of the enemy army that was destroyed, regardless of whether you won or lost. In other words, destroying 80% of the enemy army will now give you the same amount of experience, regardless if you won or lost. After all, losing is a good teacher. I think that makes sense. If an enemy army is fully destroyed as a result of a battle, for example, if it was caught in forced march stance and could not retreat, it will grant the full experience even if some units escaped. All right, cool. The formula used to calculate experience has been adjusted to narrow the range of possible rewards. Experience gain will be around the same when fighting low and moderate value armies, but less when fighting very, very high value ones. Okay, so you're not going to have a situation where you would gain like 4 levels from a single fight anymore. Heroes will now gain around 50% more experience when participating in battles. Okay, so their progression rate is going to be closer to that of characters. Oh, okay, or lords. I really like that. All right. In addition, we're adding a new mentor skill to all lords and heroes. This unlocks at level 30 and can be upgraded at level 40 and 50 and allows them to share a portion of their experience among characters of the same type. Ooh, interesting. Plus, the Lord version of the skill grants increased experience to heroes in their army. I really, really like that. That's really cool. Settlements. Oh boy, here we go. Let's see. Continue to look at a sweet spot for the new settlement battle types. This will make them a little less likely to pop up. Let's see. All major settlements will retain their walled settlement battles, enabled by the wall effect on the primary chain. All minor settlement battlers will trigger a land battle by default. Boo! Boo! Absolute fucking boo. There is an effect, however, add an effect that has a chance to turn the default land battle into an unwalled settlement battle. Interesting. Similar to the wall effect on major settlement battles leading to a walled settlement battle. The effect has been added to most standard garrison change starting on tier 2 and tier 3. Okay. I need to play. I need to play so I can figure out what the fuck's going on. So if you attack a minor settlement, it is a land battle with a percentage chance to be a settlement battle. But as you build up the garrison buildings, you have a higher percentage chance for it to be a settlement battle. That's what I'm understanding. That I'm curious. This seems like it's going to be prone to breaking, but I'm really curious to see how that's going to look. Major settlements in Norscan and Ogre homelands do not provide walled sieges, but instead will be guaranteed unwalled settlement battles. All right. Wood Elf Glades do not provide walled sieges, but instead will be unwalled settlement battle versions. Wood Elf Outposts cannot have walled sieges, but instead will be world route battles. I do like that. And Beastmen Herdstones will still not be walled sieges, but will be Beast Path battle versions. Okay, that's cool. I really like the Wood Elf and Beastmen notes, because we get to see those maps that are kind of rare otherwise. There's some additional changes. There's a unit of Reiksguard to Castle Reich. Also adjusted the Reiksfort to 1 Reiksguard instead of 2. Oh, the Reiksfort, okay. Ogres had access to both garrison chains in major and minor cities. Now it's only 1. Missing siege tower defense projectile upgrades have been added for Kislev Ogres and Nurgle. Oh, heroes have been added. Hooray! Heroes have been added to garrisons from hero unlock buildings to Khorne, Tomb Kings, Bretonnia, Cathay, the Demon Prince, Nurgle, Ogre, Slaanesh, and Drycha. In addition, we have added missing spells to garrison heroes. Interesting. Finally, additional units at all tiers for special settlement locations with 3 to 4 units of higher quality have been added to the following cities: Khemri, Lamia, the Black Pyramid, Tor Yivres, Carrick 8 Peaks, Hellpit, Gainvale, Hexwaddle, Itza, Kalazakadak, Lothern, Nagaron, Skavenblight, Altdorf, Drakenhof, Corone, and Weijin. Interesting. The AI. We've received quite a lot of feedback on the AI game difficulty. We've been fixing significant issues. We also want to make the AI more aggressive. However, this is a double-edged sword. This could be bad for people who are already struggling with the game, so please give us feedback. All right. AI army aggression has been increased. There is now additional difficulty scaling for aggressiveness. Oh, interesting. Tweaks for AI behaviors around settlements. So AI are now more likely to be aggressive around cities. Increase faction potential bonus for higher difficulties. AI has higher XP gain. AI diplomatic goals has been reduced. AI skill selection has been adjusted for many different legendary lords and their factions. The AI is better at dealing with yin and yang. AI has higher priority to build garrisons and walls. AI behaviors are being fixed for consuming slaves. Settlement AI. Oh, this one is huge. Settlement AI will now be alerted by stealth units trying to capture victory points. That's going to be big. That's a huge exploit. If they have actually fixed that where the AI immediately reacts to when you're capturing a point with a stealth unit, that is going to be a huge change. Fixed a bug stopping AI from correctly constructing buildings. AI now reliably research text even though they cost money. Removed a bug preventing the AI from using their abilities. AI will no longer directly declare war on vassals of human races. Okay, that's good. Fix multiple cases where respawn AI would become inactive. Addressed a bug where the AI would refuse to enter a settlement when attacking. That's good. I've encountered that quite a few times. AI will no longer be reluctant to upgrade to the last chain. AI will no longer commit to approaching a ladder if there's an easier way to get in. They still need to, I still think they need to do a pretty big fix on the way units enter settlements. Because I've definitely noticed that, like, if for pathing, if there's any fucking ladders up and I like bust open the walls and the gates and I tell my army like invade, a significant amount of my army will be dipshits and try and climb the ladders instead of like going through the holes in the walls, and that's always been very frustrating. AI has better use of agents, so they're going to be more likely to embed them in armies and less likely to have them just roving around doing nothing. The new region hint system makes it where the AI is less likely to declare war on you if they're okay, so they're less likely to attack you if they're not nearby. Base faction potential has been changed for starting moves. The Barrow Legion has had its legacy nerfs removed, which is something that was noticed thanks to the mod community. Minor Tzeentch factions can no longer use changing of the ways. There's higher incentive for the AI to build landmark buildings. The construction AI for Empire, Dwarfs, Greenskins, Vampires, Norsca, and Bretonnia is better. The Demon Prince is more likely to use barracks and minor settlements. Kislev is more likely to pick unique buildings. They are also less likely to build basic cavalry and barracks in their big cities. Boris is more likely to build bears. Funny. Lizardmen are more incentivized to outsource Saurus barracks to major settlements to make sure they can get access to Temple Guard. Immortal Empires now has Skaven-themed endgames. Oh, the Black Pyramid of Nagash now starts flying? Oh, and if you attack the Black Pyramid, you get the Black Pyramid unique map? Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Low reliability rating no longer increases the chance of successfully joining getting another faction join your wars. Hilarious. Confederation has been rebalanced, making it easier to achieve. Thank you, God. Specifically, the base aversion has been reduced slightly. The weighting for the player's military strength has been increased slightly, and you will gain a bonus to Confederation if you own regions within the currently active region hint group for that AI. Oh, that is sick. That's so nice. Plus, the penalty to Confederation for the target having recently conquered a settlement now only applies for 7 turns instead of 10. Very, very good. Very, very good. Althari and Nakari now have diplomatic contact at the start of the game. Fix some front-end Confederation problems, or diplomacy problems. Vassal factions will now automatically have you greet their master. Resurrected factions could not engage diplomacy has been fixed. The gift of vassal option is no longer available. Or gift to vassal if the vassal is dead. The public order penalty from Confederation has been cut in half. Very nice. Let's see. They've added missing army abilities to quest battles. Fix some tooltip issues. Newland now has a proper barricade. Fixed an issue or non-functional army abilities on minor factions during battles. Cool. Multiplayer. Let's see. Update 2.1. They've added a selector and ranked matchmaking, so you can now queue for land battles, domination battles, or both. Oh, that's so nice. That is so nice. Thank you. Now people won't be dodging all the time because they got the wrong game mode. Fixed an issue with soft locks. Declining a threaten will no longer crash a game in multiplayer. That's good. Fixed a desync with greenskins. Players can now play any faction in the Realms of Chaos sandbox mode, regardless if restriction. Oh, interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. Teammates and multiplayer campaigns will now start with a trade agreement if it's possible. Nice. Choke point battle catchments to rivers in the Chaos Wastes. Cool. Graphics, fix some graphic issues. Hex rates now have fixed. Aspect ratio for characters in Athel Tomorrow and Electric Counts panel have been fixed. Shielded lords and characters should now use their shields properly. Azazel will now properly disintegrate when he dies. Chaos Knights were not looking proper. Arnheim is no longer flying. Knights of the Blazing Sun have fixed some textures. Lava no longer shows Tzeentch corruption. Lakes no longer show up as gray. Use some imported some missing art assets. Let's see. Audio. Battle replays now trigger sound. Buildable buildings no longer loop endlessly. Various sounds becoming excessively ducked nearby has been fixed. A number of demon faction leaders' voices will now properly match their diplomacy action. Music will stop. A bug where music would stop playing has been fixed. Campaign pending battle music is not triggered on the post-battle screen. So they fixed some bugs there. Malice no longer is stealing Zarkan's reverb. There's no longer infinite reverb on Tehinuin. Skaven characters don't excessively chat anymore. Kolek is less talkative in channeling stance. Loyalty related dialogue bugs. We've also enhanced the audio of several Lord Select videos. Reicher, Gorsk, Gromidol, Orion, Oxioto, Sisters, Twilight, Skarsnik, Volkmar, Warzak. Cool. Audio settlement sounds. The following factions have had their settlement sounds recently updated. Empire, Bretonnia, Dark Elves, High Elves, Wood Elves, Norsca, Beastmen, Greenskins, Skaven, Vampire Counts, Vampire Coast, Tomb Kings, Dwarves, Lizardmen, Warriors of Chaos. We added new full-screen parallax background illustrations for Beastmen, Bretonnia, Greenskins, Tomb Kings, and Vampire Counts on the UI. Demons of Chaos background illustrations were re-exported to fix some issues. The Shadow of Cain phase ability now works properly. The Pieces of 8 now have an increased background effect, so you could fucking read them, which was definitely an issue. Stance icons have been updated for Warhammer 3's art style. Visions of the Old One tooltip has been updated. Cool. Added functionality to use text boxes to input specific in-game settings. Added ability information, character tooltips now fixed. Change behavior of getting units. Skills better with army sizes. Increase the size of frame for supporters action cost of Motherlands. Settlement art for Shingpo, Arnheim, Fortress of Vorag are now lore appropriate. Updated the subtitles reveal speed for Beastmen quest battles. Made it easier to see Beastmen Bloodgrounds. Added player list to the top left when watching free-for-all and domination replays. Awesome. 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 Localization. Okay, they just fixed some stuff there. Modding. Add the ability for modders to unlock technologies. Okay, cool. Going forward, the final patch for the year is going to be patch 2.3, which will come out likely in November. This will be the last thing they're going to do before. Okay, so we are not getting Chaos Dwarfs this year. Okay, I'll probably make a separate video talking about that later. Okay, 2.3 is probably going to be lighter on content than 2.2, mostly going to be fixing issues. Please give us feedback. Some of the big issues that we're looking to focus on is AI preemptive dodging. Cool. No ETA on this being fixed, but we're working on it. Siege battles, deployable structures, we're working on making those a bit better. And auto-resolve for minor settlements post 2.2 is a known issue where inaccurate auto-resolve battle results are in 2.2. All right. Holy mother of fuck. That was a long ass thing, but I think there are some amazing fixes in there. I kind of like hurt my voice just doing that endless talking for an hour and a half there. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Honestly, I think this is the best patch we've had. These are easily the most exciting Regiments of Renown. I'm really excited to dive into stream later today and check everything out. And I'll see you guys then. In any event, take care, stay safe out there, and let me know what y'all are the most excited for down below. Is there anything that you're like, oh, thank God that's being fixed? Or is there anything that you're like, God damn it, they should have fixed this thing and they didn't? Do let me know. In any event, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.